Good evening, this is Electra. I have some things to talk about tonight, so I hope you're ready to listen on another Sunset Chat. I'm going to start off with some serious subjects here first, um, but I'm going to continue what I started talking about on my short this afternoon and flesh things out a little bit more and try to flesh out and structure what exactly has to happen in this country, in my opinion, going forward. We're clearly up against forces that have no limit to their evilness and brutality. We've known this, and everything we've tried has not stopped it. If anything, it's made it worse. So we must change our strategy and our tactics. We must approach this in a different way that is going to get different results. First of all, I don't think there is a peaceful or nonviolent way out of this. I'm not saying it's impossible, but with my knowledge of history and how things happen and what it actually takes for things to change and to wrest power away from the oppressors and the people that run our world right now at this time, it's not going to be peaceful and it's not going to be nonviolent. Because what already happened today was violent. It was very violent, obviously, and it was on this planet, on this non-flat Earth, right right over there. It was about 550 miles that way, somewhere, right about there. It's out there. It's not just on your TV or phone screen. And so I mentioned the gun power, and I think we need to call this what it is. The gun power is very much a southern originated phenomenon. I'm not saying guns were invented there. Clearly, they were not. I'm not even saying that there aren't any guns made in the North or in the West. Of course, there are. Was it Colt? Colt is in Connecticut still to this day. Um, that's like the Colt rifle. Those were used in the Civil War. I think that's when they really got most of their. And I don't know anything about guns, so I'm not going to try to be an expert, but I do know they were used in the Civil War, and I know a little bit about Civil War weaponry just from the war games I play. But we have to look at where this is coming from, and I just happened to be talking about the post New Deal and World War II South, and how did it become what it is today? How did it become just an economic powerhouse that is essentially running our country now? The Northeast is just a figurehead. I mean, if you take out New York City and Washington, I mean, what else really is there? Um, but so much of our military industrial complex and weaponry, anything military, even transportation is so overwhelmingly Southern based now and Southern focused that they have amassed a lot of power. And I don't think the rest of the country understands how powerful the South is now. I used to live in the South, I grew up in the South, and I personally saw how a suburb of Dallas that had about 30,000 people when I moved there in the early 80s as a small kid grew to be a large city. It's in and of itself, just not even a suburb. It was just its own city of about today it's up to 300,000 people or something last time I checked. And so I know what it's like to live in a city that changes so much in your lifetime that that I don't even recognize it anymore. When I go back there, the street names are the same, but nothing else. And and people think the South is like this pointless area still, and it's not the case. I mean, if you add up the wealth and influence of the major southern cities, so I'm saying Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, and I mean Orlando, Miami, all of South Florida, et cetera, Jacksonville. Part of this culture is the worship of guns and fetish is a I'm going to call it the fetishization of guns because that's exactly what it is. It's a fetish. I mean, we know that the gun lobbies buy off our politicians. So clearly, I mean, and that's exactly what the Southern slaveholders did before the Civil War. They ran their state governments at their will and at their leisure and at their pleasure because they knew they held all the power. The poor whites had zero, didn't really ever get to vote either. Of course, the slaves did not. So this new coalition that we are building, we need to like make it clear who the enemy is. Like we need to call the enemy what it is. And this whole year 2025, in my opinion, has made it very clear what the enemy is. And I think and no one wants to call it that. No one wants to say that a significant portion of our country needs to be subdued like it was in the Civil War. Because ever since the South started running things, things have only gone majorly downhill. And I would say that started around the 1970s, 80s. Yeah, that's when the Northeast really started losing its influence, and the levers of power and money went south and west. Um, so yeah, I mean, so the non-fascist forces that are not in the South, the rest of the country, the Northeast, the Midwest, the West Coast. Uh, the West is overall, I would say, very fascist. Otherwise, once you're off the actual West Coast itself, it turns fascist pretty quick. So all the Intermountain West states, I would assume, are fascist until proven otherwise. And to me, this is the clear ideological divide of our times. And if we want to build a coalition, this is our enemy. And if we can somehow like talk about this in a way that people are just energized to say, yes, let's do something about that. I don't like a certain region of the country dictating to a vast majority of people, which is exactly what happened in the just up until the Civil War, by the way. The North was far more populated by 1860, and yet the Southern slaveholder oligarchy ran the country with way more power and influence than they ever should have had. Sounds a lot like our gun power today, doesn't it? It's almost the same situation. Just substitute slave power for gun power, and there you go. And so what this coalition, what our new coalition needs to do is isolate the people who are actually behind this gun power and their allies. Anyone who is not in part of this system needs to be extricated. So if and when the conflict comes, it will be narrowed down to a very small group, and there's the best odds of success. But but be aware that even in the first Civil War, a very small minority of white slaveholders they basically demanded secession, even though the majority of their states did not support it. I'm not sure if that was the case for every Southern state, but most of the states did not want to secede. But they set up their system to be the opposite of democracy. Even back then, like all these things are there, the traits are there. It never really went away. And we tried to bring the region up to the rest of the country's standards. And for a short time it was, but I'm still figuring out myself where the switch flipped and the South basically turned into the neo-Confederacy. I'm thinking it's around the Obama presidencies. I think that just broke a significant portion of the worst factions in America, and they have not recovered from it. And they're still exacting their revenge on all the rest of us. So our new faction needs to make it clear who the enemy is. The Democrats have not done that because they are just as guilty. They are bought off by the same gun power. There needs to be a clean new start faction or coalition of people. The majority of the people in this country needs to say and needs to agree with the fact that this is not okay. It seems so simple to say that, but this has totally been normalized. I mean, I wasn't born yesterday. I mean, I remember when Columbine happened 26 years ago. Like, that's a quarter of a century ago that we have allowed this to fester. A civilized country with a government that functioned would be able to um, transfer this bloodlust that a significant portion of our country has and transfer it, sublimate it into a fighting force, an army, a military, and express this violence through warfare on a battlefield between professional and possibly conscripted or drafted soldiers. That's how this violence should be expressed and balanced and rectified and expressed and just released. Because I think that's where we are right now. Is there we have not had a cathartic release in so long, and I think that's part of the reason our country is basically nuts right now, because we are pent up with anxiety and fear and anger, and we don't know what to do with it. I don't think I know what to do with it, but I'm trying this. This is my way of dealing with it right now, because I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in this world for the next 20 or 30 years. I would rather die fighting, trying to change this, than survive to a ripe old age of 80 years old with school kids getting shot every other week. And that's just one of a million things that we can complain about with our society. That should not be happening. And nobody's doing anything to change it, but our new coalition will. Whatever it takes. I think we underestimate how much people are willing to fight if they are asked and if they are called to do it. And they know it's for a good cause. When Fort Sumter was attacked by the Confederacy to start the Civil War, Lincoln called for a voluntary. He called for like a volunteer force of 75,000 throughout all the northern states. Um, Several of those states, including Massachusetts, doubled that alone, and it was overwhelming. Even Lincoln didn't expect that many people to come to his call to defend the Union. I think that could happen now if it is done properly and the right people are doing it, leading it, managing it, and because that's how it needs to happen successfully. If someone tries to do that now with our current power structure, it'll be the end of the country. We'll just have some sort of revolt and collapse. It needs to be channeled in the right way, properly. If all this violence is out there, it needs to be cathartically released on the battlefield and not on civilians, including school kids and women and other children. This is the height of barbarism, the fact that our country allows that to happen. Not even the worst countries in the world have allowed that to happen as much as we have. And what does the Southern gunpowder have to say to that? Your Second Amendment? Well, when our coalition has its way, there won't be a Second Amendment. You can mark my words on that one. Have a good night. And well, let's go through a little personal update. I'm still packing up, doing well. Got all my books packed up except for like the 5 or 10 of them that I want access to. And still playing the game of Session. Think I'm gonna put that away. And but yeah, what do you think about my political diatribe, if you will? Like, has anyone else been thinking this or feeling like this? Because I don't feel like, I mean, I can't be the only one that just cannot accept this. Period. Like, I don't even have kids. I'm not going to have kids, but even when I thought I might want to have kids, a huge reason that I didn't want to was because I could not live with the fact that I would have to send my kid to a public school where they could get killed or any given day. I don't know how people live with this that have kids, but I'm an autistic, highly sensitive person. And I always expect the worst case to happen. That's just who I am. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Would you join a coalition like this? Every new group has to start somewhere. The Republican Party started in some wood house, some cabin in some small town in Wisconsin. I think it was called like Ripon, something like that. RIPON. I should go see that next time I'm up there. But that's what we need right now. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call it a night on this one. And like I said earlier, if people want to hate me for this, I relish your hatred. I don't give a F because, like I said a few videos ago, I don't care what happens to me anymore at all. Nobody can do anything to me that hasn't already happened to me. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll hope to hear from you very soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.